To begin with, I guess I should ask where the first inspiration for the Aluminium project came from.
It came from the Andrew Loog Oldham Rolling Stones Songbook record, and it struck me that it was not really done in an extreme way as you might have hoped. And when these things have been attempted before, there's been a tendency for them to be a little bit middle of the road.
The other side of that same tradition is for things to become hideously overblown and pompous, you know, like put the little vocal line on 25 French horns, and, you know, I'm thinking of various people's attempts to do like Queen and Deep Purple and stuff. It's as if that music wasn't overwrought enough.
The White Stripes music have more in common with classical music. The sort of hypnotic nature of it and the repetitious nature of it, and the idea of that music being recreated was the starting point for the whole thing. And the start point being the song Aluminium, or Aluminum, as the original song is, which is this riff, which is repeated over and over.
All there is in that song basically is a sort of 4-note bass line, and then lots of distortion and lots of howling, to try and get that intensity, capture that intensity, without it becoming any more sort of rounded and colourful, just keeping it that stark and that intense. I thought, well, if we can manage to turn that into something that people might want to listen to, then we can kind of do anything.
We need to record this somewhere, which is like the minimum. Like, what's the most minimal way we can do something quite full? Where can we go? What's the smallest place? What's like the sort of the bare bones approach to this that will give us everything we need and nothing we don't need?
We did it in a studio in Wapping called Intimate, which is a cool little studio. It's very rock and roll, very basic. Squeezed a sort of orchestra in there. We couldn't put them all in at once, so we had to do it bit by bit. It sounds on occasion that like we've got some huge 90-piece symphony orchestra, but we had 16 string players, which, I mean, sounds like a lot, and it is a lot when you think, you know, compare it to the White Stripes, which is 2. Yeah. But, you know, like for your average size symphony orchestra would have 40 or 50. Yeah. We had 16.
How did it feel to sort of bring an orchestral mindset to songs that were so simple?
One of our rules was that we weren't going to have any instruments that were in the original. So there was no vocal, no guitars, no drums, no bass. What we basically did was to subject each song to the same process, which was to find out what the absolute basic elements of the song were, and then I would kind of rework them as though it was my material, you know.
You've gone to great pains to sort of package it in a way that fits with the White Stripes ethos. Can you tell me how you approached that?
Well, while the record was being made, we worked really closely with Rob Jones, who's done a lot of stuff with Jack, who's done stuff with their stage sets and done sleeves with them before. And we were playing in the recordings as we went along, and just he was very much part of the process, really, and was kind of part of the team. And he got really carried away with with some of the ideas behind it, with the word, aluminium, with the substance, with what it means. I mean, he got very sort of deeply into all of it, and created a huge amount of imagery. I didn't really want to engage with like the world of record shops very much, so then we wouldn't have to promote it, we wouldn't really have to market it. We could kind of, there could be discovery there and people could find out about it. So the idea was to do 3,333 CDs, 999 copies on vinyl, that it all gets sold from its own website. So it felt like for this, there's a way of like us staying in control of everything, is to do it ourselves and kind of be really back to basics about it and see how that works.
What was Jack's response when he heard the album?
He was slightly overwhelmed by it, shocked and surprised, and I think really sort of flattered by it. I don't think he wants people to feel like this was his suggestion, because it would almost be like, I mean, we part of the reason for doing this is as a kind of sort of, you know, respect for him. It's not something he's done. He hasn't. You know, I think he wouldn't want to be seen as doing a tribute to himself.
We're thinking only in terms of the audience of one person, which was him when we were doing it.
Yeah.
Because usually, you know, it's quite hard to know who you're making something for. You know? But we knew who we were making it for.